What makes one a serial killer? A lot of murders. It feels horrific to listen to a teen killing more than 20 people just for the sake of the devil. How can one be so cruel to do this misdeed in cold blood, and at a very young age? Hilarious.
This morning about a teenager who claims to be a satanic serial killer responsible for more than 20 murders. Investigators are now saying that her story cannot be verified.
We have several shocking incidents of murders in history. In most cases, a serial murder is a result of the murderer's psychological state following some trauma, nostalgia, or any devastating effect of a disease from his childhood. Only a heartless person can do the murders so cruelly, one after the other. It is where we get to hear about this satanic teen girl, Miranda Barbour, who got caught bare-handed at the time of her last murder, which she claimed to be the 22nd. The unlucky victim was a 42-year-old Troy LaFerrera this time, who got killed for nothing. Are you saying that you have killed before? How many times, Miranda? I know that when I hit 22, I stopped counting.
You're saying that you have killed before? How many times, Miranda?
I know that when I hit 22, I stopped counting.
When you hit 22, you stopped counting.
Devastating. Being a serial killer and then confessing it in front of the law, cameras, and watchers. She is saying, I stopped counting when it turned 22, as if it's something to feel proud of. But what pushed Miranda into all this bloody mess on her hands? What is her story that put such a heavy burden on her shoulders? What were the crimes of those unlucky 22 people? Let's try to unveil the dark mystery of Miranda's life that made her an evil teen on the face of this earth. The murderer's past is the first thing to examine whenever the criminal act gets under investigation. It is because the past exposes the psychology of the criminal that ultimately connects the reason to the action. Miranda started well, like all the other baby angels entering the universe filled with devils waiting for their prey. Sadly, she had one or two disturbing events in her childhood. Born on the month of Christmas on December 14th, 1994, Miranda was not as lucky as one could expect someone to be at the jolliest time of the year. She had her mother, Elizabeth, father, and an older sister, Ashley. But what she lacked was a good fortune and a good health. Soon, Elizabeth discovered a devastating disorder of developmental dysplasia of the hips in her 2-year-old daughter, Miranda. She spent her childhood years wearing leg braces, maintaining distance from playing with other children, and having fun with kid things. Soon, when she turned 3, she started playing with her cousin, the daughter of her Uncle Richard, who recently shifted to her neighborhood. Ashley and Miranda used to end their day at their cousin's house most of the time. That is where things take an upside-down turn. Richard was a man of lust, and how could he leave the chance of sexually abusing her sister-in-law's daughters? Whenever he was alone at home, he did whatever he wanted with those angels and threatened them not to speak a word. Time passed, and there came a day when the 6-year-old Ashley finally decided to open her mouth in front of her mother, Elizabeth. She couldn't believe that her sister's husband could be a beast when all she did was save her daughter from a stranger's hands. Elizabeth fired a warrant against Richard. When the police arrived at Richard's place, they found a manuscript. He was arrested and sent to jail for 10 years one time and 40 years the second time when he failed his trial. Insane. How can one be so lusty to reach such an extent in the hour of desire? And even after spending 10 years for his misdeeds, he didn't stop being a jerk during his trial and got caught again. Well, Richard went where he was supposed to be. But what about Miranda? Is her trauma going to end in some time? After all, sexual abuse at such a young age is not a simple thing. She further went through the divorce of her parents. It further left some rooted fears and sufferings in the poor little's mind.
She has this horrendous intergenerational demon, the demon of abuse.
She has this horrendous intergenerational demon, the demon of sexual abuse.
She has this horrendous intergenerational demon, the demon of sexual abuse.
The biggest things you hear from a lot of rape victims is, I wasn't there. I can't tell you anything because I wasn't there. And that's one of the things that the mind can do. It's that ability to disassociate or to become somebody else. And so they put on this other persona, this other personality.
The biggest thing you hear from a lot of rape victims is, I wasn't there. I can't tell you anything, because I wasn't there. And that's one of the things that mind can do. It's that ability to disassociate or to become somebody else, and so they put on this other persona, this other personality, says a sexual assault clinician, Janine Milne. Elizabeth moved from the North Pole to Palmer in Alaska, and that's where the daughters grew up. Deprived of the love and attention of her parents, Miranda suffered a lot within her inner self. Life was happy for Elizabeth and Ashley, but for Miranda, the traumas seemed more than never-ending. Miranda wrote in her diary as a teen, "Dear diary, I feel dirty, violated, hurt, and ashamed. How could he think that he had the right to hurt me and my sister the way he did? I wanted him to hurt worse than he hurt me." It was not long before she started grappling with satanic activities at the age of 13.
Wouldn't come home for 2-3 days, week at a time.
Miranda wouldn't come home for 2 to 3 days, a week at a time, said her sister at a talk show. She met a satanic cult leader and got involved in mysterious activities. At the age of 14, Miranda even started taking antidepressants. It already highlights how much the teen was suffering during her life, following her childhood trauma that was now never-ending for her. Her bad, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disease. Her miserable life was no less than a prison for her, from which she often tried to seek an escape by taking her own life. She couldn't even hit the spot in this regard. Her out-of-control attitude and insane behavior made Elizabeth cut her off. That was another attachment for Miranda. Deprived of her mother's love and lack of shelter, Miranda moved to her gang friends to seek help. But they had something horrific for her on the plate. They pushed her into illegal substances, vandalizing properties, and sleeping for money. Another trauma hit her when she got pregnant, and Forrest, her gang leader, ordered her to abort the child that was done in an open street. The other time she got pregnant at the age of 17, she kept the child. She was sent to North Carolina to live with her extended family, who knew that North Carolina had something worse planned for Miranda, her bad. In North Carolina, Miranda met a guy named Elite Barbour. They had one thing in common, at least, schizophrenia. Moreover, he was in common with Miranda's addiction to drugs and illegal substances. Finally, two colliding streams met together, and the explosion sounds can be heard already. Both the satanic lovers learned the occult together. And they even practiced satanic intercourse where you hurt one another and then do the stuff. They got married and left North Carolina for their next stop, Pennsylvania. Now Miranda was not alone anymore. She had a family with her to feed and take care of. But how could she and Elite feed themselves and their daughter with zero money? The lack of income made Miranda leave an ad on social media for female companionship in exchange for money. It is where the 42-year-old Troy LaFerrera enters. Fed up with her obese wife, the customer approached Miranda for some companionship. On November 11, 2013, Miranda was supposed to meet Troy as a part of her job, but the couple had some other plan.
So you just decided you're gonna kill someone?
We just decided that we were gonna kill somebody. We had no reason, no anything else other than that.
We just decided that we are gonna kill somebody. We had no reason, no anything else other than that, says Elite during his question-answer session with a police officer. That day, Miranda met Troy in the parking. Elite was lying in the back seat, hiding himself in a blanket. Miranda was driving the car with Troy in the passenger seat. The moment she stopped the car, she said the code words, "Have you seen the stars tonight?" On the first try, Elite didn't seem to get bothered. It was no longer before Miranda repeated her code words, and Elite rushed out of the blanket and grabbed Troy's neck from the back, using a cable wire. No, it's not the tool Troy was murdered with. Miranda stabbed him with a knife. Bought 2 times, not 3 times, 4 times, but a staggering 20 times. She stabbed him in the groin. She stabbed him in the neck. It went through. Then we went out to eat at Red Robin, and it was delicious, confessed her husband while giving an interview to the officer. How ruthless, killing a man for no crime and then enjoying delicious food right the next moment. Does such cruelty exist? After the murder scene, Miranda and Elite dumped the dead body of the innocent Troy into a narrow alleyway in the area. Then they had food for Elite's birthday with $150 they robbed from Troy's wallet. Troy met such a tragic end just because he trusted Miranda and came to see her as a part of her job? Cruel. The time had passed, and now the game-changing events came to join the ends together, and that's where the investigation begins. No matter how big a crime is, it still can't escape the grip of the law's hands. Miranda and Elite did what they did. They never thought of getting caught, just like overconfident teens who think they know everything and can do whatever they want without fear of getting caught. The rising sun came with bad news for the Satanic couple. The dead body was found, and the most suspicious thing about it was the violent manner of murder. The body looked like whoever wanted to kill the victim wanted him dead, and he made sure that. The first thing under investigation was Troy's phone. That is where the police officers caught Miranda and took her to the police station. Her was the last number Troy dialed before his death, and he was supposed to meet Miranda on the night of his death. Who else could be more suspenseful in this case than Miranda? But things were not so quick even after the evidence spoke for themselves. Guess what? She lied. We were just supposed to meet at Denny's, but it never happened. Miranda's statement on the police investigation. First of all, Miranda refused to have any involvement or knowledge of Troy's death. She said, "I never met that guy ever before." But things started getting complicated when Miranda started showing an aggressive attitude towards the cops' questions, especially when cops asked for Miranda's phone in custody. A conversation between Miranda and the detective during the interview. "We got to take your phone, put in evidence, and get a search warrant to go through. That's not fair to me at all. That's what we have. I have the right to walk out of here with all my belongings, which I am going to do. I am very offended right now."
Actually, Miranda, we got to take your phone, put it in evidence, and then get a search warrant to go through.
That's not fair to me at all.
That's what we have to do.
I have the right to walk out of here with all of my belongings, which I'm going to do.
Not with your phone. We're going to take your phone.
I'm very offended right now.
After an offended argument with the officer, Miranda walked out of the room. It made the cops more suspicious of her. The same night, the police brought in Elite for further questioning. He gave believable statements, at least better than Miranda. The couple got dismissed that night, but the cops kept investigating the case. In the face of crime, if one escapes from one trap, one gets caught in the other. The same happened to the poor Miranda. She disclosed the story of her stabbing event to a friend in a stream of unconsciousness. Her friend convinced her to confess it to the cops, and Miranda did. The next day, she went to the police station and confessed her guilt. But still with a lot of lies. A conversation between cop and Miranda. "He got in my car. Everything seemed fine. And as soon as I put the car in park, everything just completely flipped upside down. I didn't know what to do. He just attacked me. What was he doing to you? One hand was on my throat. The other hand was touching me down there."
He got in my car. Everything seemed fine, and as soon as I put the car in park, everything just completely flipped upside down. I didn't know what to do. He just attacked me.
What was he doing to you?
One hand was on my throat, while the other hand was touching me down there.
How brilliantly she tried to paint a picture of her self-defense. However, it was not the case that night at all. Conversation continues. "I do have 3 knives in my car. I usually carry one on me, and I just grabbed it. What happened after you took the knife? I stabbed him once, and it didn't do anything. And I stabbed him again, and it didn't do anything. It was still being continued. There was nothing that changed."
I do have 3 knives in my car. I usually carry one on me, and I just grabbed it.
What happened after you took the knife?
I stabbed him once, and it didn't do anything. And I stabbed him again, and it didn't do anything. It was still being continued. There was nothing that changed.
A well-constructed story, but not a smart one. The cops could believe the lie Miranda shaped into a self-defense story if they didn't have the CCTV footage. Her bad. The cops went into Elette's house, who was having a cigarette. The cops said they had the CCTV footage proving that Alette was also at the meeting that night. On this, Alette replied, "Okay, so this is my last cigarette as a free man." Shocking, right? He confessed just like Miranda. When he confessed his guilt, he also disclosed Miranda's lie about presenting a false story to defend herself or free herself of the crime. But that was never the intention. The whole intention was to kill him, told Elite to the cop.
But that was never the intention. The whole intention was to kill him.
Elite is a little weird person in the whole scenario. He seemed to enjoy telling every single detail of how they committed the murder that night. His explanation was even beyond what the officers asked for. He seemed fascinated to share every detail of how he grasped him, how Miranda stabbed him, how they took the dead body to the destination, and then how much they enjoyed the burgers they had just a few minutes after this horrible act. Soon, from inside the jail, Miranda made a call to a judge, claiming that she had done more than 20 murders before. "I know that when I hit 22, I stopped counting."
I know that when I hit 22, I stopped counting.
This confession was beyond the shock for the media, the judge, the cops, and everyone concerned with Miranda's case. How can a teen of age nearly 20 years make 22 murders in all by leaving no evidence? Not in one city, not in two, but in all the famous cities, including Florida, Alaska, California, and Texas. But she lived only in Alaska and Pennsylvania. How come she did the murders in other cities? And when the criminals can't justify their deeds to the world, they justify it to themselves by giving it a positive notion, in their own eyes. Miranda also justified her crimes with a belief that she only killed bad people. Even if that is the case, what did Troy do to her badly? Or let's suppose he did something bad. Was it the right way of dealing with it when you have law for these matters? At another point, she said she wanted to be caught so that her daughter could be raised in social services. But even if she wanted this thing for her daughter, what was the need to murder the first hand? Miranda's nonsense justifications didn't meet the end. It was evident that she was enjoying the media's spotlight. However, her husband Elite assured the cops that he had no doubts that Miranda had done all these murders. He further said, "I always told everybody, I thought Miranda was possessed." Although Miranda's statement on committing more than 20 murders sounded unreal, the detectives still did their job and tried to look for the evidence. To their and many others' surprise, they could find nothing supporting those murders. The couple was arrested and imprisoned for second-degree murder with no chance of release. It is how a teen girl decided her fate just because she killed a man who had no crime at all. Life is unpredictable. But it can be that unpredictable, feels hilarious. Did Miranda do it all in the possession of the devil? Or were these all her self-decisions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.